Hey, everybody, I'm Dr. Seth, psychologist. A lot of different types of issues can negatively impact relationships. In fact, a lot of different types of issues can sabotage relationships, cause them to have a lot of conflict and turmoil, or cause them to end. A lot of different types of problems. Well, one of the problems that I'm going to talk about today is a particular kind of core belief, a really strong, intense, negative belief that a person can have about themselves that can really sabotage their relationships. And that is this one, the belief that I am defective. I am defective. Like something is just inherently wrong with me. Think about a factory that produces a model of thousands of different objects. And maybe there are a few that are considered mutations. We don't know why the factory just produced a few mutations. The factory produced a few bad models. Well, for anyone who has this feeling, like this fear, this strong belief that I am defective, something about me inherently is just defective, this is a negative core belief, and it is a reflection on distorted thinking, a distortion in how you see yourself that isn't based in reality, but because it feels so real and so true, it's really difficult to get out from under it. Okay? So, I'm Dr. Seth, psychologist, and I'm going to talk a little bit today about what to do if this is a feeling that you have, if you have been operating from this perspective that you are defective. Now, for some of you, you may feel like it is something that you know to be true. You just have this sinking feeling that you're defective. For others, it may be more like a fear. Deep down, you're afraid that you're defective. You're not completely sure. Sometimes maybe you feel okay and you start to trust that maybe you are okay, maybe you are normal, but there's that lurking fear that maybe you are defective. Okay. If this is something that you really strongly believe or you're afraid of about yourself, I want you to look at an approach that I'm going to review today, which is reality testing. This is something that psychologists can use to help a person see the distorted perspective that they're taking on something. Reality testing. We are going to test what is the actual reality about who you are, about your worth. Okay. So there's a couple of ways that you can practice reality testing with yourself. The first is checking the evidence. Okay. I want to teach you actual tools and techniques to deal with these kinds of strong beliefs because I believe without tools and techniques, some of these things really don't go away. So the checking the evidence technique can be really helpful. So ask yourself this: what evidence do I have that I am defective? What proof do I have that I am defective? Where is there information that says that I should be different? Where is the truth that I should be different than how I am? Look at the evidence. Now, remember, when you're checking the evidence, you can't just go to one referral source. For example, one person who said something about you or one person who did something with you. That's one person. Think about the number of millions of people in the world. Think about all of the people that you may know in your life, have come into contact with, have had all different sorts of relationships with, friendships, family relationships. So when you are checking the evidence, you have to think about everyone that you have come into contact with. You have to look at all of the evidence, not just specific evidence that you might be focused or fixated on right now. See, when sometimes people get stuck feeling I am defective, they end up focusing on only narrow, specific evidence. They focus on that and they blot out all of the other evidence. So there's only one pocket of evidence they tell themselves that matters or is the truth. But checking the evidence means looking at all of the evidence. Now, another part of checking the evidence that you can think about is ask yourself this: am I focusing on only my flaws or my weaknesses right now? Or am I also looking equally at my strengths? Are you focusing just as much on your strengths? Or right now, when you start thinking about that belief that something is wrong with you, that you are defective, are you only focused on the negative? See, checking the evidence means checking all of the evidence, what you feel like might be negative, but also the strengths that you have, the positives. What things do you feel good about yourself for? If you don't feel like there's anything good about yourself, well, my guess is that there are other people in your life who would identify some positive things. So check all of the evidence, and that will help you counterbalance this strong belief that you are defective. When you check the evidence, you often realize that actually you are not defective. That is simply the conclusion that you are stuck in this moment. The second technique that I want you to practice when you are engaging in reality testing is this one: shifting perspective. Shifting perspective. See, when you get stuck focused on the core belief that you are defective, you are only focused on one perspective. And whose perspective is that? You know it. It's your own. You are stuck focusing in a myopic, razor focused way on one perspective, your own. Shift away from that, zoom out, and think about other perspectives. And think about this one specifically. If a friend of yours that you care about were to say the same thing to you about themselves, what would you say to them? Would you agree with them? Think about a close friend of yours that you really like and care about, and they told you they feel like they are defective. What would you say to them in response? You probably wouldn't agree. What you would do is you would focus on things that are positive about them. You would show them how what they are believing is distorted, is actually inaccurate. It may feel real, it may feel true, but it is not accurate. Okay? So shift perspective by thinking about what you would say to someone that you care about. Now, another thing that you can do is you can think about someone who is a neutral observer who might see you, not know you well, and think about the way that you think about yourself negatively. So they hear you saying that you are defective, and then imagine them understanding the reasons why you feel like you are defective. What are those reasons? Picture someone who is just a neutral observer who doesn't know you well, who's not really invested in the response or the answer. What would they say? Would a neutral person agree with you that you are defective, that you should be cast off and dismissed, that you really don't have worth, that something is wrong with you? If you take the average neutral person, most neutral people would say, I think that that person is probably okay. And they probably look at you like they look at a lot of people, which is everyone is a mix. We are all mix of strengths and weaknesses, of positive things, and maybe some things that we need to work on because human beings are imperfect and we are all works in progress. That is a neutral thought. We are all works in progress. When you take a step back and shift perspective, okay? So remember that these are a couple of specific techniques that you can engage in when you get stuck in that belief that you are defective. One, checking the evidence, and two, shifting your perspective so that you can gain a little more insight. You can zoom out and see yourself with a little more reality. These are techniques that you can use. And you know what? They're not just one-time techniques. These aren't techniques that you'll just try once and then poof, magically it's solved Everything's better. You have a completely new identity. It doesn't work like that. These are disciplined techniques. When we have negative beliefs about ourselves that we need to practice every single day, we need to work on in disciplined ways. We need to challenge our negative beliefs each day, week after week, month after month, until we start to notice, hey, I think I'm noticing a little shift in how I see myself. I think I notice myself not beating myself up so much mentally, not being so critical of myself, not saying mean things to myself. When you think about it, saying that to yourself, I am defective, it's actually a pretty mean thing to say about anyone, to say about a human being, particularly yourself. Where is the self compassion? Where is the empathy? Like I said, that we are all works in progress, that no one is perfect, that even aspiring to be perfect is not the goal, that the goal is to be real and honest and to make little improvements in our lives, in ourselves, day by day, so that we feel balanced, so that we feel more trusting of ourselves, so that our mood feels better and more positive, and that we can have an attitude in life where we say, we appreciate our life, we appreciate ourselves and the gifts and strengths that we do have, and we do the best that we can. All right. I want you, if this is a belief or a fear that you have operated from, that you are defective, to challenge this with reality testing and with these two techniques, and keep practicing it. Because remember, in all my videos on my YouTube channel, I always say, whatever we practice gets stronger. And when we practice positive things, we experience more positive results. All right. I hope this video has been helpful. You can also check out my library of other videos on improving our mindset, improving our relationships. I believe these are the things that matter most in life. Have a good one, everybody.